Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah again for joining us here on Salam Media. My name is Ahmed Kaji. This is Local Matters, and we are together for another 40 minutes or so just to take you through what we have gone through this hour, over the last hour and a half or so. We just finished the conversation with Ancilla Mazwai. She is the mayoral candidate for Johannesburg from the Land Party. If you missed that conversation, it is up on our social media platforms and on our website. Feel free to go and take a look at that whenever you have a chance as well. We will be speaking to Ancilla Smith, the CEO of Special Olympics South Africa. She'll be joining us in just a few moments' time over the phone to just take us through whether there is adequate access in the city of Johannesburg and across the country for athletes and people with intellectual disabilities. We'll be finding out exactly what her thoughts are regarding that as well. We've also spoken to Mohammed Zaid Jadwat a few moments ago at the top of the hour, rather. Just at the start of the show, he took us through the DA manifesto launch and exactly where the ANC is sitting regarding a poll which has come through. They have been a bit low on their recent polls, probably down around 20%, with the DA sitting around 40%. But those surveys generally do change as we head closer towards elections. So we'll see exactly what things are going to look like around the 4th of November. But this show is all about kind of getting an idea of what's happening in and around our cities, in our municipalities, in our communities, so you can make an informed decision heading through into the local government elections taking place at the end of this year. We are joined now by Ancilla Smith. She is joining us from Johannesburg. Ancilla, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We do greatly appreciate your time here on Salam Media.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to maybe just shed some light on some of the challenges faced by people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. And I think the first thing we actually need to go into is many people may think there is the difference between Olympians and then perhaps the Special Olympics is linked to Paralympians as well. Can you define to us exactly what an athlete with a intellectual disability is and the Special Olympics versus a Paralympian?
Absolutely, no problem. Great question. There's a lot of confusion when we mention Special Olympics. Oftentimes people just think of Paralympics. So the difference is between Special Olympics and Paralympics is that Paralympics focuses on physically disabled athletes, while we at Special Olympics focus on people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, which means they can be able-bodied, but that they still have an intellectual disability.
What can you tell us through are the biggest barriers preventing people with mental disability, with intellectual disabilities, rather, from participating in sport, especially in Johannesburg and perhaps across the country as well?
Well, I think the biggest challenge just across the country is that people with intellectual disabilities are segregated into special schools, and most of the time the special schools don't really have a strong sporting program or adequate sports facilities. So even though our athletes are completely capable, there's just not a lot of focus on sport in special needs schools. They definitely don't have the staff, the resources, or anything that really enables them to participate fully in sport. I think that really is probably one of the biggest challenges for people with intellectual disabilities, is that segregation in education. And then obviously, once they leave school, the majority of them remain unemployed, not because of their inabilities, but because they don't get a national certification once they complete 12 years of schooling. So they are largely part of the unemployed sector, and that in itself reduces access to sport, because obviously there are costs involved outside of Special Olympics, but in normal sport there are costs involved to belong to sports clubs.
I mean, Special Olympics is something that you're part of. You've been dealing with athletes with intellectual disabilities for a good few years now. Can you maybe just take me through what the cost involved and to what extent is government involvement versus the private sector, and then your own personal fundraising that you must be doing from the Special Olympics side?
Sure. Okay. So, because this is such a good question, because we're actually leading up to our national games, which take place at the end of August. I think just in terms of participation in Special Olympics is completely free for our athletes. We don't charge any membership fees as an organization, not just in South Africa, but globally. So participation in Special Olympics is at no cost to our athletes. This obviously places quite a large burden on us as Special Olympics, not just in South Africa, but I would say globally, to be able to firstly garner support and secondly funds to offer the programs and the sports quotes that the sporting codes that we do offer. I would love to say that we have full government support. We are getting there as an organization, but we still have a long way to go for these athletes to be given the same consideration that any other athletes participating either in the Olympics or the Paralympics currently receive. So unfortunately, yes, there is still a long way to go in terms of getting government on board. We are very fortunate to currently be partnering with the Ministry of Women, Youth, Persons with Disability, who are really strongly coming behind what is largely an underserved population, even within the disability community. And we're hoping through that partnership to be able to engage other government departments in providing the resources necessary for this population to actually thrive and not just survive in South Africa.
A big part of private investment as well comes in the form of, investing in perhaps the national soccer team, the national rugby team, the national cricket team. I guess there's also perhaps the case being made for athletes with intellectual disabilities to also then have some sort of private investment as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely 100%. We are very fortunate in that we do have a large number of corporates involved more on an international level, but still providing funding to all of the programs. Special Olympics operates now currently in over 170 countries. So we do have some global partnerships with the likes of Coca-Cola, Microsoft. I can mention Nike, who have recently just started a partnership, and we're very grateful that Special Olympics South Africa, specifically in Johannesburg, is supported through Nike, through numerous, as I said, global partners. We've been incredibly fortunate in South Africa to have the likes of Ford and African Bank come on to support our athletes in the past, specifically their participation in the World Games when they're representing South Africa as a national team. And we have a lot of smaller corporates who always step up when it comes to our national games to support the athletes, and our World Games to support the athletes.
It's just gone 8:30 p.m. Central African time here on Salam Media. This is Local Matters with myself, Ahmed Kaji. We are in conversation with Ancilla Smith, the CEO of Special Olympics South Africa, taking us through what athletes with intellectual disabilities is all about, making that differentiation between athletes, Olympians, Paralympians, and then Special Olympians as well. That's just the foundation of what we have spoken through so far. After the ad break, we will be continuing this conversation, but going along the lines of what can local government be doing for Special Olympians and what is currently being done, and can more be done as well. Please stay tuned here to Salam Media. We will be back after the short break, and then the conversation with Ancilla Smith will continue.
We work hard to build our homes, businesses, and futures. Protecting them shouldn't mean compromising the values that matter most. ACNE Group of Companies, a Muslim-owned business, offers our short-term diamond insurance covers founded on ethical principles transparency, integrity, and responsible service. This allows us to provide insurance solutions that align with ethical values while maintaining the protection and service standards you expect. To ensure complete peace of mind, all premiums, claims, and premium investment funds are managed through designated Sharia-compliant bank accounts, reflecting our ongoing commitment to ethical and responsible financial practices. From your first inquiry to the moment you need to claim, we are committed to providing professional, transparent, and reliable support. Choose insurance that reflects your values while giving you confidence and peace of mind. Speak to ACNE Group of Companies today to learn more about our commercial, engineering, professional indemnity, and liability diamond insurance covers. Call Rafiq Isaacs on 084-822-6570. ACNE Group of Companies comprises authorized financial services providers under FSP numbers 43281, 4553, and 45915. Products are underwritten by New National Assurance Company Limited, FSP number 2603.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Hey Gulam.
Yeah?
Did I return your lawnmower last month?
No, bhai, you didn't.
Oh no. Now what'll I do? I wanted to borrow it again, man.
With Randry Jewelers, you won't have to borrow or lend because the prices are so well trimmed on all gold and diamond jewelry. Alternatively, we could remake your old jewelry into a brilliant new design. Visit Randry Jewelers at 151 Stevens Lamini Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randry Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
There are over 200 million orphans globally. We can't help all of them, but what if we each helped just one? The Al Imdad Foundation now gives you an opportunity to help just one orphan from Syria or Palestine. For just 500 Rand per month, you can help safeguard the dignity of an orphan by assisting them with basic needs such as food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and attention. Our orphan sponsorship program allows you to track the progress of your orphan through regular feedback. Make a difference in the life of an orphan today. Visit alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Right now, in some of the most devastated parts of our world, places close to many of our hearts, Doctors Without Borders is delivering emergency medical care where no one else will. Your donation gives a child surgery, a family clean water, a community a fighting chance against disease. This is an opportunity to make your giving count where it's needed most. Visit msf.org.za/sadaqah, that's SADAQAH, and donate today. Doctors Without Borders, we go there.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back here to Salam Media. This is Local Matters with myself, Ahmed Kaji. We have 25 minutes left together this evening. We thank you for joining us here on this cold Johannesburg evening. We are in conversation with Ancilla Smith, the CEO of Special Olympics South Africa, speaking about what access to athletes with intellectual disabilities have. Can the city be doing more? And what exactly are municipalities doing for athletes? Ancilla, thank you very much again for joining us here on this Tuesday evening on Salam Media.
It's an absolute pleasure, Ahmed. Really, thank you, because without the media creating this kind of awareness, it really makes my job a lot harder. So really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Can you perhaps take us through how accessible at the moment sporting facilities are for athletes with intellectual disabilities?
Yeah, so I think, if we're looking at local government, I think, I'm specifically now thinking around the departments of sports and the Department of Education. I think that would be, for me, the first prize in terms of local government just getting involved. And they really, for me, it would be supporting the sports programs in our special needs schools. They really, really do need the support. They need so many things to be able to run successful sporting programs within special needs schools. I think the challenge when we talk about moving into sporting facilities is obviously safeguarding, specifically for athletes with intellectual disabilities just being, I think, more at risk than the average population for issues surrounding safeguarding, specifically with regards to abuse. So for me, that's a really interesting question that you've just raised, and one certainly I think we haven't really, as Special Olympics, thought through, because we predominantly work with athletes that are at school or in residential centers. And we've also really been trying to look at how we create opportunities for athletes with intellectual disabilities, specifically once they've left school, to be able to access sports facilities. And probably from my side, I think that is a challenge that I think faces not only athletes with intellectual disabilities, but athletes across the board, is to ensure that we have safe facilities, safe sporting facilities that athletes can access in South Africa. I think that's a major challenge that I foresee, is making sure that even though sports facilities are accessible, because with intellectual disability, as I've mentioned, our athletes are able-bodied on the whole, although we do have athletes with both intellectual and physical disabilities. But the major, I think, challenge for us is safeguarding, firstly, and then secondly, obviously, the costs to use facilities would be the other challenge that I would foresee that our athletes would face. And then thirdly, I think there's still a lot of discrimination against people with not only physical disabilities, but intellectual disabilities. And we need to spend a lot more time creating awareness around what that discrimination does and feels like for people with disabilities who are trying to go into a mainstream facility. So I think for me, those would be three key things that would need to be looked at.
With local government elections coming up at the end of the year, I mean, there's Special Olympians and there's intellectual athletes with intellectual disabilities across the country. So I guess this question then goes across the board to every metro across the country, rather than Johannesburg or eThekwini or Tshwane. What do you think is the biggest gap for for athletes with intellectual disabilities? But more importantly, what would you like for all of these mayors to be doing to ensure that they can help athletes with intellectual disabilities?
Oh, absolutely, to create more inclusion. Again, number one, I think the first place we need to start is in early childhood development and schools. There really needs to be a lot more attention given to children and young people that are in special needs schools. I think there's a large amount of neglect that happens in terms of sporting programs, where the majority of focus and funds and resources go to mainstream schools and mainstream clubs and mainstream facilities, and very little attention is paid to creating inclusive environments. And I think that's something that needs to start in schools. And unfortunately, because we still have segregation happening, right now we really need to be focused, I think, as local government, specifically with sports, is how we enable the youth that are in special needs schools.
a large part of all political parties, I mean, we saw the Democratic Alliance launching their election manifesto over the weekend. A few others will be launching theirs in the coming weeks. Some have already done over the last few months as well. A large part of their manifestos have been around unemployment, potholes, traffic lights, where they'd be hijacked buildings, ensuring that land in some way is improved upon for the residents of their cities. Do you think candidates should also be including disability inclusion in their manifestos? And if so, to what extent?
I mean, I think for me, disability inclusion is key. And if we're not discussing that, we are really missing out on a large population in South Africa. I can speak for Special Olympics alone. We serve 57,000 athletes currently across all 9 provinces. But the World Health estimates that over 3 million people in South Africa have an intellectual disability. So I think it really does not bode well for a political party that is ignoring disability. But more importantly, and Ahmed, I'm going to just raise this as an issue, is that all of these manifestos that are being sent out and put out there are oftentimes in a format that people with intellectual disabilities cannot access. So interestingly, how many political parties are ensuring that those manifestos are actually reaching people with intellectual disabilities or with other disabilities, in fact. But I'm certain that none of them are bringing out these manifestos in easy to read or braille or in an audible format for people that are challenged with their hearing. So I would be very interested to see how many of these local parties are actually making even just something like their manifestos accessible to people with disabilities.
You've spoken about you've been working with athletes with intellectual disabilities on a professional level. South Africa has hosted a few events managed by your organization. But for the everyday athlete who does have intellectual disabilities, what should their everyday access to a facility look like to ensure that they are included and life isn't made as difficult, or they aren't being perhaps marginalized in their daily life?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, inclusion from their perspective would need to be facilities that are safe, definitely free. We have to be realistic. I know that facilities need maintenance and upkeep, but if you're dealing with a population that is largely excluded from joining the job force, definitely having to pay for access is not realistic. And again, the safety issue is critical. And then also ensuring that staff and anybody at that facility is trained to understand different forms of disability, number one, but are also well trained in safeguarding and keeping people with disabilities safe within those facilities.
Mm-hmm. Before we let you go, Ancilla, as we wrap up, last month was a premiere of a documentary called Catching the Wind, directed by Thomas Holder. The minister in the presidency for women, youth, and persons with disabilities, Sindisiwe Chikanga, was in attendance. Do you see that as a investment and perhaps support for athletes with intellectual disabilities and organizations such as yourself in ensuring that those athletes are empowered and more investment is given into that sphere?
Absolutely. I think that the partnership that we have with the Ministry of Women, Youth, Persons with Disabilities is absolutely key for creating awareness and support for people living with intellectual disabilities in South Africa, and certainly has gone a long way to helping us to create awareness amongst other ministries of some of the challenges that are being faced by people with intellectual disabilities.
Ancilla Smith, thank you very much for your time this evening here on Salam Media. We really do appreciate it, and wishing you and the Special Olympics team all the best going forward.
Thank you very much, and thank you again for the great work that you're doing on helping us to create awareness.
It's an absolute pleasure. That's Ancilla Smith, the CEO of Special Olympics South Africa, joining us here on Salam Media, taking us through everything regarding the municipalities and what they could be doing to ensure that in some way or form there is access to sports facilities for athletes with intellectual disabilities, and ensuring that in some way or form they aren't going to be as marginalized as they currently are. It's just gone 14 minutes to 9 p.m. Central African time here on Salam Media. We are going to go for our final ad break of the show, and when we come back, we will be speaking to Kevin Marks Pass. He is going to be taking us through everything around improving the community of Kensington in the east of Johannesburg. Please stay tuned.